This is Junia Doan's Spark, and I'm Junia Doan. This is part of a series that I'm doing on what the wonderful people professionally are doing around Midland to make our self-sheltering experience easier and hopefully more productive. It is April 30th today, and I've been self-sheltering for 6.5 weeks by the New York Standard, and not quite 6 weeks from the Michigan Standard. But you get the idea. All of us are at home these days, and we're very grateful to the people who are taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So our adjustment to this shock of the Wuhan virus, COVID-19, will be cushioned. So thank you. My guest today is Wally Mayton, Reverend Wally Mayton, who's Associate Pastor at Memorial Presbyterian Church. Well, how is Presbyterian handling church services?
Well, we are doing what I think many congregations are doing. We are live streaming both Sunday services, and we're doing it from our senior pastor's home, which I think is different than many churches and congregations. Rather than having him go into the church, we are respecting the fact that we are encouraging our people to stay at home and to stay safe, including our staff. And so he's doing it from his home, which means that I and many other participants in the worship service, we tape our portions, and he then, and at his home, includes those tapings in the presentation of the worship liturgy. So we've been doing this for about 6 Sundays now, and we look forward to continuing it. Junia, the interesting thing is that we believe we're reaching people that normally wouldn't be participating in our worship experience, because they know the choice is there, and many people who are unable to physically come to this building now are able to participate fully in our worship experiences. So we think this is a valuable lesson for us to learn. We're in a new time, and probably we'll be continuing these even if things normalize, whatever that will mean.
That's a useful idea.
Of course, anticipate returning to the building, but we're going to continue to see this as part of our worship ministry.
So for someone who isn't familiar with Zoom or how to get started in Zoom to tune in to the service, what do they go to the website? What do they need to do to make it happen?
Well, of course,
other than the technical side of Zoom.
That's right. That's right. Of course, having the necessary internet connection is so important. But we are able to live stream both over Facebook and over our website. And in addition to that, they're immediately archived on the website and in Facebook, so that people that aren't able to engage at the moment that the service is happening can experience the service at any time they wish. We also are using MCTV, and their recordings much. We know we're getting a lot more attention there as well.
In which area?
The MCTV recordings.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting much more engagement from the community on our viewings.
Are you able to take, or someone able to take this technology into the hospital? So for the very ill or not so ill?
We have discussed that, and because, normally we would, but currently the safety and health restrictions make it very difficult for us to take it in. We can take a DVD into any of those settings and leave it, but we're unable to provide live streaming at this point. But we have discussed that as a future engagement opportunity that we may want to pursue.
So it would take really the hospital getting an iPad or something, and then disinfecting it and wheeling it around to people
that
who
is correct.
Connect.
And many assisted living residences in our community are doing that for their residents. The staff is doing that. We're unable to do it, so we are providing the staff the means to provide that if they have the equipment, the internet access, and the equipment to provide the residents.
Oh, I'm so thrilled at that. I know my experience, if it's one-on-one like we are, is more intimate. I'm more focused. I'm not, people aren't running up to me to say something. The phone isn't ringing,
Yes.
or the dog
Yes.
I don't have,
Yes.
But it's like, even if that were not true, I know that I am dedicating this time to you. So the focus is deeper or more purposeful, because I know it's going to be for a period of time and not a quick hello, what's new and that kind of thing.
I agree, Junia. That's very well said. And when I complete a conversation such as the one we're enjoying now, I feel very refreshed and renewed. It's a spiritually enriching experience for me, which says to me, Junia, that I thrive on this kind of interaction. When people say something about yourself that you've learned about yourself during this particular season, my first response is, I know I'm an extrovert. I need people.
So why do you think this experience has changed you in a way that you can see or mention or feel?
Yes, I think I'm much more in touch with who I am, Junia. I tend to want to be everywhere, everywhere all the time, and this particular time has allowed me to step back and really think about where I am the best to be. Where can I best be an asset or a contributor to what is going on in our community in particular, but also in the life of the church. And to really prioritize my energies and my devotion to presence among the people. Again, it's new to me and it's a challenge to me, and yet I think I'm learning more about myself and the opportunities I want to take to stretch and to grow myself spiritually, as well as to engage the people for whom I have such care. So it's been a learning experience, and continues to be a learning experience for me.
What I noticed in myself was I felt so grateful. This is a gift of time.
Yes.
That I didn't expect and probably wouldn't have chosen. And for the first week or two, it was really quiet. Then the phone calls started, and then people discovered Zoom, and it got more intense. And I find it's like both sides of me changed. The part that was one-on-one, which is my favorite, got more real intense and satisfying, and more frequent. The things where 4 or 5 or more on this, I find myself tuning out a little bit.
I love that, Junia. And I think we've all felt that progression. As you're talking, Junia, I recognize you in your gifts of leadership, in who you are and how you present your thoughts, as well as your caring toward the community, as well as to individuals who have the wonderful opportunity to engage you in a personal way. Your leadership, and one thing that I'm learning is what really defines a true leader. We talk about leaders having vision, but also there's a matter of conviction, or having a foundation, what I call faith, of knowing who we are in order that we may be best for others, that we may present our best selves. And I think that's what this season is allowing us to do. In all its sadnesses, we have the opportunity to claim that kind of leadership that really is effective and meaningful as we seek to contribute to the well-being of our community. And I thank you for presenting yourself and allowing me to consider how best I may present my gifts, whatever they might be in leadership, to the community as well, to be an effective contributor to who we are and what we can be.
So Wally, I think everybody is a leader. I think everybody has say over what they say and what they do in every minute or second, for the most part. And how you treat others, where you are, in the grocery store, or wherever, you have a chance to take people up.
Like that. Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and there's
see
an
yourself
influence
that way.
Yes.
Times
yes.
when you just feel you can discipline yourself so that side doesn't get imposed on somebody else. You can be more,
Truly.
Even if you just say to yourself, stop. You're just tired.
Truly. Well, Junia, and I do not take that lightly. I claim that as you're speaking. I thank you for reminding me of that reality, because we do have that kind of influence. And
yes.
If we realize it and understand it, I think we'll be more thoughtful and intentional about what we say and how we live and how we respond, especially in difficult circumstances as this.
Well, I like to start with the 10 Commandments, sort of where to start, but basically it comes down to being a good person. If you can find decency, good manners, whatever, concern, compassion, of course, kindness, my favorite, towards people, or maybe it's more understanding, a generosity of position. I think it's easier because everybody has bad days. Everybody is worried about something or another, and some almost insupportable. But, I have a friend who says everybody on Main Street deserves Academy Award because they're all carrying something, and they're trying to put a smile on their face. So there is some aspect of that. And I read so much about mental health issues for people who need to stay home now. And I feel grateful that I'm in Michigan and I can walk on grass rather than concrete. But I don't know if you will get together, but what are you thinking or what are you expecting once we sort of meander through this one way or another?
Junia, what I anticipate, and I see it already developing, is that we as a community, where we have so many gifted, I will call them leaders, but we've used the word heroes. Heroic actions are people who act outside of their own sense of caring for others.
Yes.
And we have so many who are thinking ahead in a visionary way, knowing that this isn't a moment in time where we respond one time, but it is a matter, just as you have said, of how we are to live with one another. I think we have come and are coming to appreciate how we as a community are willing and wanting to live with one another, that we want to be real, that we want to be genuine, we want to be caring and compassionate, but be caring and compassionate with wisdom and with intelligent thought and action. And I see that already happening, where people in the midst of a need where, yes, we're vulnerable, we could have the choice of everybody closing in and pulling ranks with what they need to protect themselves and their well-being, to people reaching out and thinking of their neighbors and trying to practice and put into practice ways of living together that will reach long-term into our future. And that's very encouraging for me. That's very encouraging, very enlightening as well, is that the best of the community is rising as we are in the worst of circumstances.
Well, there could be bombs falling, so it isn't the worst.
Okay.
There's always something worse.
Yes, well, there
and you
is.
gotta keep
and
that
there
in
is.
mind.
There is. And yet we, truly, Junia, as we look at this, really, we see there's every reason for us to be fearful and anxious. And yes, I keep it in perspective, and I think about world circumstances that aren't even close to what we're experiencing. But to acknowledge that it is an anxious, fearsome time allows
Right.
me to see the good and the courage and the self-sacrifice and all those attributes of character come forth and truly having bearing. The reason you and I can talk about there are always things worse is because we see good and we know
Yes.
good and we experience good in our daily lives here. And we can be very grateful for that.
You know, it's what you choose to see, Wally. I'm very visual. So if I go into a room, I notice the paintings that aren't properly hung, or I'll notice a dead bug up or something like that. But when you talk about your attitude, you could notice the dead bug, or you could notice, the flower outside. It's what you put your attention to that makes a feeling in you, either
Yes.
a
Yes.
dislike
Yes.
or didn't
Yes.
somebody clean this, did
Yes.
I clean it?
Yes.
And, or
Yes.
the beauty of nature, the beauty of the world.
Yes.
Uncertainty makes people anxious. It certainly made me anxious years ago.
Exactly.
Now I have, there's a great advantage to living up in years, a great advantage, because they just repeat. You have the same kind of experience, and it's a few little different details, but if you get it at all, you understand the parameters of it, and you understand your reaction then and your reaction in current times. So
Beautiful.
uncertainty used to make me really upset when I was way younger. Now I just view it as an opportunity to create difference, a new choice, something else,
Beautiful.
or the old way.
Beautiful.
It breaks me apart in kind of regular thinking. It asks me, because nothing is the same, to not embrace uncertainty, but to find where I can play with it. What options can I
Yes.
develop or not develop
Yeah.
or think about? And it's a gift, even though it's painful.
Junia, that is so true. And what I am learning and have learned again, renewed my learning in acknowledging that I truly cherish being part of a community to do exactly what you have said, to have the perspective of how I can personally stretch, grow opportunities, meet challenges, be vulnerable in the midst of a hopeful attitude and perspective. I learn best and grow best and act best if I am part of a community that encourages that particular spirit. And that's what I want to say to you. I want to say to other neighbors and leaders within our community is that we together grow and stretch and respond. And that is such a gift. I am not sure that happens everywhere. I'm not sure that culture is as active as I see it here. And I want people even that feel like they're on the margins of the community, I want them to feel that they are a part, that they have something to give, as well as we want them to receive, but we want them to know that they are giving to us as well. May note that I'm on social media, and I'm sure we're all on social media much more than normal. I know I am. And I love to see the postings of what people are putting on social media. And most of what I see, and I take account of it, are pictures of pets in their because they're real. They're as genuine as they can be, or of children, or of interaction with people that are comfortable. I've seen a host of photos of sunrises and sunsets that are beautiful, of rainbows in the sky, the sidewalk art, all those ways that we are seeking to engage, and flowers. You mentioned flowers. I have seen spring flowers. People are taking pictures and posting pictures of spring flowers. These are all, to me, representations of the spirit that's inside of us. that we are awake to springtime in the midst of a long, what we consider to be a long season.
So do they teach this in divinity school, or did you have to learn this along the way?
I think, I think we all, Junia, and you've made this comment, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we learn these in our growth and in our experience and in our maturity. I really do. I think we learn them. That it's not that we're ignoring the sadnesses, we see the sadnesses, but we learn what I'm calling to be resilient. We are able to have some fortitude in meeting the challenges and knowing that as we are the best for others, we create the best for the community in which we live. And that's truly where I keep coming back to that fact. And I thank you for helping prod me and encourage me to think about that, because I think that's the central feature of how we are going to respond and how we are responding as a community to the needs that are present, as well as the needs that we anticipate still to come.
So for the people who are really down in the dumps and have reason to be, my grandmother, Anna Shodwald, you've heard this, but when I was 6 or 7, I asked her what life was like, and she said it's like the weather. And so when I personally have had hard times, I recall her comment saying, it's really hard right now,
Yes.
but maybe it will not always be, because if it's like the weather, at some point, it has to be different, worse or better, but it has to be different, right? And I think that kind of encouragement, people should learn, either from others or themselves, to give themselves while they can, or if they can.
That is right.
Because it does not have to say the same, but you have to choose. And some, well, you and I know, some are incredibly unlucky in the kinds of things that hit them in life. And spirit makes a great difference, a great difference.
There makes a huge difference, Junia, and truly, there are sadnesses, and I agree that we always acknowledge the sadnesses that we face, the losses that we face in life, and some seem incredibly intense, those losses, and we feel for one another in the midst of it. But there again, my sense is that as we experience those sadnesses and losses, there is such a gift in having someone that we trust to acknowledge that, to acknowledge it as loss, and to stand with us in the midst of that loss. And it takes a community to really grow us out of a sense of fear and anxiety into a hopeful perspective, because fear and anxiety, as you have said, is always going to be a part of us. If we look at history, we see
early warning system.
Yes. There's all those wildernesses where people are terribly vulnerable. I mean, I'm talking about wildernesses of spirit as well as life experiences. And if there's a promise that we hold on to, and I'm suggesting and even recommending that promise that we hold on to is that we're not alone, that we are part of a community of caring and compassionate and wisdom in thought, in faith.
One of the things I've been wanting to ask myself, Wally, I started to, but I haven't precipitated sort of answers, is what do I like about this personally that's given me something that I want to take with me in the future beyond whenever that is, beyond this uncertainty and this threat. And I think it's good for people to think like that. If they like not only their actions in one way, but they don't like the other, maybe they can change. Maybe they want to take up something. Maybe they want more solitude, more spirituality. Mm-hmm. But don't let the rush of life rob them when it all calms down a little bit. And let this be a gift unto themselves and their families.
Yes.
of a bigger, more satisfied.
And Junia, perhaps that is the key, is that we are learning a lot about ourselves in the midst of this. And as we do, we see the opportunities, as you have expressed, of how we can best connect to a neighbor as a friend.
There's a Jewish philosopher called, he was in the 40s, and he said there are two ways that you, what is his name? Two ways you can relate to people, I thou or I it. I
Yes.
it is transactional. Bring me some coffee, or I'd like to build a house, or I'd like to get out of debt, you know. The other one is heart-centered and spirit-centered. And so maybe living more with a few more people, more deeply with the ones you know, to live I thou. That would be really living grace, wouldn't it?
To me, that is a central spiritual truth, Junia, and for all the activities that we can engage in, we know that the fulfillment always comes, and not just what our hands can do, but what our hearts experience in the midst of those activities. And usually the fulfillment of heart comes from the relationships that we experience and build.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Wally. So, you know, everybody who's listening or tuning in, here is a conversation you should put in your heart. Wally said, community supports, right?
Yes.
This is an opportunity to be more in community thanks to Zoom or other services. It's a time to look at life, although, you know, I think, and that people are suffering and that people are having critical moments of distress around a lot of things.
Yes.
But if they can talk to someone, if they can see their way through, it's good. And because through may be a very long time. Isn't that what you said? We don't know how long, and it may be longer than we're guessing. And it won't be the last either. So thank you, and I encourage everybody to go out, and what do I say every time when I close a program? Please, please go out and do something kind. Well, of course, you can't do it for them because we're self-sheltering, but you get the idea. Maybe on Zoom or the phone or the text. Do something kind for someone you know and someone you don't know, and do it every day till I see you next week. So
And
thank
I say
you,
amen
Molly.
to that, Junia. Thank you.